Malaysia has not been spared from the Trump administration's wave of trade measures, with a 24% retaliatory tariff on its exports. Which industries are most likely to be affected? Doris Liew from IDEAS Malaysia weighs in.
Our export to the US are mostly on semiconductor goods, and these are not affected by the current set of tariff. Although there will be indicated future tariff that might target semiconductor industry, so we are not completely out of the loop yet. But right now, for this particular set of tariff, Malaysia's semiconductor industry will be relatively shielded. And other sectors we see might be affected as well, includes things that are not under the exemption list. The exemption list are things like energy, lumber products, and pharmaceuticals products that appears to be quite insulated. But one part of our production that we export a lot to the US also includes mechanical and precision instruments, and those will likely be affected. Palm oil sector might or might not be affected depending on how they kind of classify it, whether it's under energy industries or it's not, right? So depending on that, where the details will be disseminated in the next few days, that we will see how many more industries are going to be impacted.
While the short-term impacts on Malaysia's GDP might be moderate, the latest tariffs could affect employment rates.
So in the short term, the overall GDP impact might be moderate, just simply because most of our major exports to the US, like semiconductors, are still insulated. But if tariff extend to include these products, we can then see a dip in export competitiveness, which will weigh on our trade balance and potentially even slow down some of our GDP growth, especially if the current global headwinds persist. In terms of employment, it really depends on how sustained or widespread the impact is. So Malaysia's electrical and electronic sector and semiconductor sector, we also employ quite a significant number of people and workers, and it's one of the key driver of our economic growth right now. So if the demand for US may drop, that could eventually trickle down into hiring slowdowns or reduced working hours in certain factories. That said, we might also gain relatively since our neighboring manufacturing hubs like Vietnam and Thailand are facing higher tariff, which could also make Malaysia more attractive as a production base in the short term. So it's kind of a bit of a mixed bag. There are both risks and opportunity in place depending on how we and the authorities currently want to approach it.